Okay, we back. Authentik Talk the podcast. And today we have a special guest with us, man. He's out here putting a lot of work in the community, letting y'all know what he's here for, how he gets down, and what's going on. So today, with no further ado, we got Kenneth Redditt in the building. How you doing?
Good to be back with you.
Come on, we're here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Kenneth Redditt, and I'm a candidate for General Sessions Judge Division 2.
Yes, sir.
The election is getting close.
Yes.
Very, very important election. A lot of serious issues that have to be addressed. Issues regarding bond, mental health. This is a mental health court, mental health and veterans court. So I definitely have some ideas about some things that I want to do to grow, expand, and redevelop mental health, including looking at other models that one from Eugene, Oregon, that's been implemented that is decriminalizing mental health. So that's the thing. We want to focus on the stigma that's associated with mental health, and trying to decriminalize it and coming up with other ways to bring people in and where people can feel comfortable getting treatment. You know, not just in a group setting. But also looking at some ways to where people can get treatment in an individual setting. You know, as well, where they can be a lot more comfortable.
So it's needed.
Yes, yeah, it is
definitely
needed. But the stigma, definitely want to address the stigma associated with mental health, and also the criminality. Because it's a pretty straightforward proposition. When you have a mental health issue, then jail is absolutely not the answer.
Definitely not. Definitely not the answer.
And that's one of the big issues that's on the ballot, or that's to be addressed. But I am originally from Arkansas. I graduated University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Then I came here and finished at Tennessee State, where I got my master's degree in public administration. And I started law school in Florida. Came back, finished at Tennessee State University.
Man on the mission. So, talk to us a little bit about the court system here in Nashville, Tennessee. How do you feel about it?
Well, it's some things that has to be addressed, and some things that has to be more efficient. You know, as far as and one of the things that I look at that's a big concern with me about is really moving cases along, but moving them along in the right way and making sure that, you know, certain cases are not just going through the system. And being a general sessions judge, and you hear a lot of cases, and you're the initial point of review for a lot of these cases, criminally and civilly. And and the difference is still a little bit about the difference between the courts. Is General Sessions Court has in civil cases, jurisdiction cases that are $25,000 less. And General Sessions can hear felonies and misdemeanors, but can't plead to felonies in General Sessions Court.
Understand that.
But even everything from misdemeanor theft to first degree murder can be heard by way of preliminary hearings. You know, preliminary hearings are probable cause determinations to determine two things. One, was a crime committed? Two, was the defendant the one that committed the crime? And if a judge makes a determination that there is probable cause that a crime was committed and the defendant committed the crime, then judge is duty bound to do what you call bind the case over to the grand jury. And so then at that point, it goes to a grand jury body that meets in secret, where essentially the prosecution, the police officers, the alleged victims, they go in front of this body, and what usually comes out of that is what you call an indictment, and that's a formal charge. And then the case continues, ultimately to where a defendant ends up getting an arraignment and has to deal with the case to conclusion.
Is there a lot of mental cases that the public never really hears about? It's kind of like it goes on, but it's not not so much put out there like that. Do you think it's a lot of that going on in the court system?
The mental cases?
Yes. Because out on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, it's just that, or he did that, or she did that. But on the back end of it, it could really be a mental situation. And we don't really get to see that a lot. We just kind of judge it off what it is. But do you feel like, and I know you're running for the mental part of it, so do you feel like that it's a lot of stuff that's not being shown?
I think I get what you're saying. And with the mental, potential mental aspect of it is something that you want to make sure that is being addressed and also is being considered.
Okay.
In making a disposition of the case. But the best way to do that, in my view, is to make sure that there's a mental health diagnosis.
Okay.
First and foremost, as
Okay.
opposed to just having a situation where the defendant and the prosecution, the defendant's counsel,
Okay.
whether it's the public defender or retained attorney,
Right.
appointed attorney,
Right.
and the state of Tennessee, the prosecution,
Okay.
reaches an agreement, and the agreement is approved, and then you have months down the road, the person comes back and they reoffend.
Okay.
Because the disposition or the plea never really addressed the issue of mental health.
Okay.
And that's the thing that I want to ensure and to make sure that that person is being properly evaluated,
Right.
is being properly assessed, and that there is a determination that there is actually a mental health issue. Mental health diagnosis or substance abuse diagnosis.
Okay.
To qualify for mental health. Because then at that point, then we can go into and figure out exactly what the best way is to address those issues.
Okay. Well, I think where a lot of us come from, in the beginning, it can be a lot of mental health. But I feel like over the time, it was never shown or addressed that some people could actually have mental problems that's doing these crimes. I see a lot of it, from our surroundings and stuff like that, but not once, I don't think, that I seen where those guys has went to court and it was like, well, he might be mental. I just feel like it was just straight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On that level. So now that I think about it more, it could be, your surroundings, what you're faced with every day, determining what you're doing out here sometimes.
That's correct. And studies have shown that external factors, external pressures, all contribute to mental health and mental health issues. And so that needs to come into the equation and needs to be understood as well, while we're trying to simultaneously deal with the stigma.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of stigma.
Yes.
It's a lot of stigma.
The stigma is a big concern, and that's one of the reasons why one of the things that I would be looking at as far as innovative and creative ways is to get them treatment and to have to where it's not all done in a group setting, because it will actually serve as a deterrent for some if they have to go and be in front of a group and acknowledge and have to hear that. So right now, with things being virtual, we do a lot of things virtual online, and maybe someone that's professional that they can meet with and they can talk to individually, is one thing. And there are, models just like the one in Eugene, Oregon, that seems to, by all accounts, seem to be working fine. To look at that, it's called the Cahoots model, which is designed to decriminalize mental health.
Okay.
So yes, but I definitely want to promote growth, expansion, and redevelopment in mental health court.
Okay. Definitely understand that. I definitely understand that. And with that being said, we're going to take a commercial break and we're going to show y'all what Kenneth Redditt is all about. And he's going to tell y'all. So y'all stay tuned. Authentik TV. We'll be right back. Kenneth Redditt.
Good evening. I'm attorney Kenneth Redditt, and I am a candidate for General Sessions Judge Division 2. I practiced for 14 years, and I want to bring that experience to the bench. I'm running for judge because I want to further and continue my commitment to true administration of justice. I will apply the law fairly and with balance. The election is May 3rd, but early voting is April the 13th through the 28th. I ask for your vote, but more importantly, I ask for your support. Let's win with Ken and get ready for Redditt. Thank you.
Okay, we back with Kenneth Redditt. He's running for judge, General Sessions. Make sure y'all get out there and vote. We need y'all votes. Don't sit back at home and let this thing just go on, because we need our people in place to help us with our situations. And that's how it is out here. So how you feeling, man?
Feeling great.
Feeling great?
Yes.
We've been seeing you out here putting your work in, hitting the community, hitting a lot of urban spots, trying to get people into the voting system to let them know what's going on out here and try to make a change. So how do you feel about the bond system?
I want to address that in a moment, but
Okay.
just a little bit about what you mentioned about in the community.
Okay.
Something that
Yeah.
I've been doing and been doing for a while in the
Yes, sir.
community is that I have hosted a series of countless expungement clinics.
Okay.
And I've done those in concert with pastors,
Okay.
local pastors in different locations like community centers and churches. And it's been going great. Just this past week, I assisted in expunging no less than 45 charges off some records, and so it went fantastic. And I did one yesterday.
Okay.
And usually there's one about every month and a half, every 2 months.
Okay.
And at various locations, but that has been invaluable to the community in several respects, because it has allowed people to clean up their record and to gain meaningful employment, to be able to take care of their families.
Exactly.
And too often, another effect of having things on the record.
Okay.
The police officers pulling them over,
Right.
and if the police officer sees marijuana, simple possession, even if it's been convicted, even if it's been dismissed, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Or drug charges.
Yes, sir.
Certain things. It's going to have an effect of more likely than not prolonging that encounter.
Yes, sir.
So if you have these things on your record that can be expunged, it is definitely better to go ahead and promptly get them expunged off your record.
I understand that.
Whether it was through anything that has been outright dismissed, which you call nolle, when the state decides not to prosecute.
Okay.
Retired, and that is after it did a certain period of time, 6 months or a year.
Okay.
And good and lawful conduct, no other issues, then it's dismissed and you can get it expunged off your record. Pursuant to 4035-313, which is the diversion statute, so you can get it off that way. No true bill. If the grand jury comes back and they didn't find probable cause to indict, that's another basis to be able to get something off your record. And so I look and I may see where things have been dismissed for costs and inform, hey, we should have these costs. And this is something I have been doing in the community for years at no cost.
Wow.
Assisting people get their records cleaned and their records expunged, and letting them know what they need to do to do so.
Yes, sir.
And in addition to that, been helping people get their driver's license reinstated.
Yes, sir.
Contacting the Department of Safety, finding out what their reinstatement requirements are, and getting orders from the court if necessary. and filing motions to get their fees and costs waived.
Okay.
And again, this is something that I've been doing, and also with the Know Your Rights component, where I have been speaking with at these expungement clinics and letting them know, you know, when you have the encounter with law enforcement, about making sure to technically do all the right things. It's kind of almost like an adult version of the talk.
Yeah,
you know that you have to, you know, that parents have to have, you know, in particular minority communities, about when you about technically doing everything sound and everything correct, so that you don't have, so that you can survive the encounter and make it home to your family.
Yes, sir.
So I speak about that,
okay,
and making sure and do all that, and have been doing that for a while. And so as I run for judge, I've had a tireless work ethic. I work primarily in Davidson County. Okay. But I have handled cases in almost 20 counties in Middle Tennessee and beyond, such as Sumner, Williamson, Rutherford, Cheatham, Bedford, Giles, Hamilton, Shelby, and going into the tough counties that a lot of many have decided to stay away from, because I don't believe that justice should be limited by zip code. If people need my help in these places, I've gone there and fought tirelessly. The district attorneys in these places know me and say, you know what? See, Redditt coming.
I understand.
Then, if there's any way that this case can be resolved favorably for his client, he is going to go all in. Yeah. And so, in the same tireless, second to none work ethic that I've had in 14 years of practicing, trying all of these cases, I want to bring that same work ethic to the bench.
We need it.
And you asked about bond.
Yes, sir.
That's problematic in a lot of different respects. Okay. And I think one of the things that's inherently problematic with the bond system is cash bonds. Okay. And let me explain for those out there about cash bonds. Cash bonds is where you get charged with an offense. Okay. And the bond that's set is $150,000. Right. Now, you have the financial wherewithal to make that $150,000 bond. Okay. Or what you would do is you would pay that money into the clerk, that $150,000 to the clerk's office. Okay. So you would, once the case was resolved, favorably, unfavorably, guilty or not guilty, whether it was a jury verdict that you were convicted or not, you would get that money back less a small administrative fee. Now, you say, for instance, you couldn't pay that $150,000. And see, this is the big thing that you're having as far as the discrepancies as it relates to minorities and people of color that are being adversely affected by the cash bond system. Because if you have two individuals, say for instance, you have one wife that in this particular case says guilty of the offense, $150,000 bond. Okay. Makes the bond. Presumably, if he can make a $150,000 bond, he can hire an attorney. Okay. So makes the bond, hires an attorney, ends up getting a good deal, maybe an under advisement plea, and what that is that's a plea for a designated. It's a conditional guilty plea, which is you have good and lawful conduct for a short period of time. There are no problems. Okay. Gets dismissed.
Understand that.
Yep, completely off your record. But the person that cannot pay, because we can look at it two ways. Say, for instance, if they can come up with the money, they have to come up with $15,000 plus an administrative fee. Okay. They lose all of that. They're not getting any of that back. And so, but say they're innocent. Okay. And if they're innocent, they don't get any of the money back. One unfair aspect, but another unfair aspect of it is, what about in a more likely scenario, they can't make the bond, period. So if they can't make that bond, guess what happens? They sit there. And while they sit there, they're dealing with a number of collateral consequences. Because when you're in jail, your mortgage is not getting paid.
Right.
If you're a student, you're not making it to class.
Right.
You know, you got family obligations. You're not meeting, and taking care of those family obligations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, so you have a lot of things going on. So what ultimately happens in the scenario I gave you with the person that is not guilty? They eventually take a plea.
Just to get out, to get back to their, quote unquote, everyday life.
Yeah, and you essentially have a record. So what do we do about that? You know, there's something called a bail project that have worked to kind of set aside and earmark funds in situations like this to try and help, negate some of the unfair disparities in this scenario. But that's a very, very small percentage.
Okay.
So we have to look at ways to address bond in a way that makes it more fair. Because some people have had the idea, well, let's just, do away with the bonding companies. And the first thing I think about when I hear that, and I'm certainly for reform,
Okay.
no doubt about it.
Okay.
But I do see, as a judge, I'm going to go straight down those bond factors.
Okay.
And I'm not going to just put so much more weight on one factor, because it's one factor that usually then leads to a very, very high exorbitant bond.
Okay.
And the likelihood of conviction, because we look at community ties.
Right.
What are your community ties, and it's specifically the community that you live in.
Yeah.
Because if you're a resident of Davidson, but you're in Sumner,
Right.
up the road,
Right up the street.
they are not favoring you in that community ties. Regardless of it. So one of the things, if I'm the judge, I'm looking at, I'm saying, okay, well, how responsible have that person been in that community?
Okay.
And if they have been, not had a record, because that's another thing, no criminal record, steady employment and everything.
Okay.
All these indicators, which tells me that this is somebody that's going to show up for court.
Okay.
Because ultimately, that's what the purpose of bond is, to ensure that the defendant comes back to court. So as a judge, I'm going to look at all these factors, but it is a problem if you weight one factor so much more than the other factors, because it's a fine line between doing that and actually prejudging the case, which is not something that you're supposed to do, because that defendant is still entitled to the presumption of innocence.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Until proven guilty. And
Yes.
It's time for these to stop just being code words, and really the way that business is done. That is innocent until proven guilty.
Do you feel like that it's so much of that going on in the system to where they don't have the time at times, and they just like read it and then it's read it and read it,
It's not acceptable to not have the time.
Exactly.
You've got to make the time to go down these bond factors and everything, and to apply them fairly,
right,
across the board.
I understand
to everybody.
Definitely.
That is an obligation that comes with the job of being a judge.
Okay.
Is to make that determination. Will this person come in? You have to balance the rights of the victims and the rights of society to be safe and protected with the constitutional rights of the defendant.
No matter if you had a bad night, bad day, no matter what, that's
such an important thing that you just mentioned, Marcus, because judge has to have judicial temperament.
Okay.
You have to be steady in making these determinations, level-headed, and have judicial temperament. It cannot be how you feel about things and what happens.
Right.
It has to be checked at the door in the morning or at some point throughout the day. It cannot be a factor in the decisions that you make.
I understand. And with that being said right there, look, one more commercial break. We just broke down everything for y'all, from the bond system to all of that. So please listen, learn something from this right here, because we're giving y'all the game, we're letting y'all know what's going on, what they're looking for, and how to handle yourself when you're dealing with these situations. So we right here with Kenneth Redditt, about to go into general sessions and win this judge the whole placement, because it ain't for everybody, but it's I feel like it's for him. So look, commercial break, Authentik TV. We're coming right back. Stay tuned.
I'm running for judge because I want to further my commitment to the true administration of justice. I will fairly apply the law, and I will apply the law with balance. I would ask for your vote, but more importantly, I ask for your support. Let's win with Ken and get ready for Redditt.
Okay, we back with Kenneth Redditt, running for general sessions too. Make sure y'all go out and vote. We're trying to do this thing the right way. So you let them know everything that they need to know about the bonds, about all of that, like to really understand what you're getting yourself into. And I'm glad that you came and broke it down to the levels where we can understand, so what else do you want to let the people know about what's coming up and what you have going?
Just wanted to emphasize the importance to go out and vote.
Yes.
Running because I want to continue and further my commitment to true administration of justice. I can assure you that I'm going to apply the law fairly and with balance. Now, the election is May the 3rd, but early voting is April 13th through the 28th. I would ask for your vote, but more importantly, I ask for your support. Let's win with Ken and get ready for Redditt.